This episode is sponsored by Big Fish Bail Bonds. Big Fish Bail Bonds is your first choice in bondsmen. We are located 3 blocks away from the Sedgwick County Jail in Wichita, Kansas. We accept all major credit cards and we accept payment plans on big bonds with no collateral in some cases. Find us at bigfishbailbonds.us or give us a call at 316-262-4100. Big Fish Bail Bonds. Big or small, we release them all.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Kansas Missing and Unsolved podcast. I'm your host, Ricky Chabregi, and joining me tonight from Arizona is Derek. How you doing, Derek?
What's up, buddy? How you doing?
No, not too bad. Another day in paradise. Cold paradise, but paradise.
Man. Right? Double T's on YouTube. Roxanne's here. Michelle's here. Chris is here.
Hey, Chris.
Barb is here.
Are you a new viewer, Barb? I don't recollect remembering your name. Are you new to the show?
Yeah, I haven't seen that name before either. Interesting. That's new.
Yeah.
She's from. Huh. Oh, she's new. That's somebody else. There's 2 Barbs.
Zeltner. Okay, hey Barb, Barb Zeltner, how you doing?
Kelly's here.
Hey Kelly, how are you and Scarlett doing?
Yeah, that's awesome. So she's from Michigan.
Michigan. I thought maybe she meant Michigan. How things going up there in Michigan?
Alan is here.
Hey Ellen, how you doing?
Chris Under. Thank you, Chris. My kids bought it for me. Cold in Michigan.
Oh, I bet.
All done with COVID. Just having fun
Good
now.
deal.
Awesome.
Good deal. Good to hear that.
Trisha's here.
Hey, Trisha.
She says her best friend lives in Fort Riley.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Nice.
I'm about 60 miles west of there.
Nice. Well, let's go ahead and cover some cases, man. Now's as good a time as any. Let's go ahead and talk about Dietrich Foster.
All right. Dietrich's missing from Independence, Kansas since April 12, 2020. He was 37 when he went missing. He's now 40. He's 5'9", weighs 190 pounds, black hair and brown eyes. He was reported missing on May 12th of 2020. He was last seen around April 12, 2020 in the Independence, Kansas area. KBI agents and detectives from the Independence Police Department are conducting the case as a homicide based upon findings during the investigation into Foster's disappearance. Again, at the time of his disappearance, he was 37. He's now 40. He's 5'9", weighs 190 pounds, has black hair and brown eyes. If you have any information regarding Dietrich's disappearance, you know his whereabouts, please call the Independence, Kansas Police Department at 620-332-1700 or the KBI at 785-296-4017. And there is a governor's reward of $5,000 for information leading to the arrest and conviction of those responsible for the disappearance and suspected murder of Dietrich Foster. So if you have any information regarding his disappearance and suspected murder, get that information called in immediately.
Yeah. It's been quite a while. Seems like Seems like the state of Kansas is pretty serious about finding some answers in this one, you know, with the $5,000 governor's reward.
Right.
Seem pretty adamant about getting to the bottom of it. It's 53 degrees in Phoenix right now, Barb.
Oof.
Chilly.
Last time I checked here, it was about 36.
It is chilly here. Let's talk about Dana Jane Bruce.
Okay, Dana Bruce has moved from Sedalia, Missouri since October 4th, 2008. She was 23 when she went missing. She would now be 37. She's 5'2", weighs 98 pounds, has brown hair and green or hazel eyes. She was last seen at her children's babysitter's home in Sedalia. She had left the children there earlier that day so she could go out for the evening. She returned at midnight and gave the babysitter more money and asked her to watch the children for the remainder of the night. Dana was seen at Malone's Bar on Main Street with a young man driving a late model Ford F-150 truck earlier on the night of her disappearance. She left with the man at 11:30 p.m. Police have identified the man that Dana was with that night. He had traveled to Atlanta after her disappearance, and police questioned him about Bruce after he was arrested there on unrelated charges of marijuana possession and driving on a suspended license. Authorities have not named him publicly, but they are calling him a person of interest in her case. He told his questioners that he and Dana parted ways after they left the bar, and he never saw her after that. She left all of her belongings behind, including her hairbrush and toothbrush, and she does not have any credit cards, debit cards, checking account, cell phone, or a car. Again, at the time of her disappearance, she was 23. She'd now be 37. She's 5'2" and weighs 98 pounds. She has brown hair that was colored brown at the roots, black at the ends with red highlights, and green or hazel eyes. Wearing a black shirt with Rebel and silver lettering on the front and blue jeans. Dana has a tattoo with wings and the name Dylan on her upper left arm. She is blind in her left eye. She does have a 2-inch scar along her lower spine and a staple scar on her right shoulder. Her ears are pierced 1 time each. If you have any information regarding Dana's disappearance or you know of her whereabouts, please call the Sedalia, Missouri Police Department at 660-827-7823 or 660-826-8100 or the Missouri State Highway Patrol at 573-526-6178 or their toll-free number 866-362-6422 and see if we can't help get Dana located and back home to her family. I know they are still frantically searching for her every day, wanting to get her brought home where she needs to be, and let's see if we can help make that happen.
Chris said it's supposed to be bitterly cold next week here. Kelly says 33 degrees in Kentucky.
Ooh.
Trisha's telling everybody to take the time, like, and share the show. We appreciate that.
Thank you, Trisha. Appreciate that.
And Barb's saying she wished that there was a reward for Randy Leach.
Yeah, it would be nice.
Yeah. That's for sure. I wish there was reward money for every case, but there's just not, There's just who knows where they get the reward money for the ones they do have rewards for,
Yeah. I have to research to see what the criteria would be for a governor's reward to be issued, like in Dietrich's case.
Yeah.
I don't know what the criteria are.
I'm glad it's on there, but yeah, it's a good point that it'd be great for there to be rewards for every missing person. Yeah. Let's talk about Kenny Wrightcheck.
Okay. Actually, I got a message today on Kansas Missing saying that it was from a lady, and she was saying that somebody she knew saw a news report stating that apparently they were taking another look at Kenny's. Couldn't find anything on it. So if anybody knows about that or has seen it on the news, let me know. I'd like to see what they're saying. But anyway, Kenny's missing from here in Salina, Kansas since November 4th, 2019. He was 69 when he went missing. He would now be 72. He's 5'9", 175 pounds, has gray hair and blue eyes. He does sometimes use the last name Brown instead of his given name of Wrightcheck. He does suffer from diminished mental health capabilities, and he is on disability. He has not tried to access his money since he was last seen. He may have family in northwest Kansas, possibly around the Colby area. Kenny was last seen at the Gospel Mission in Salina. He left there and has not been seen or heard from since. Kenny does not have a phone, vehicle, or any identification. Again, at the time of his disappearance, he was 69. He'd now be 72. He's 5'9", weighs about 175 pounds, has gray hair and blue eyes. If you have any information regarding Kenny's disappearance or you know of his whereabouts, please call the Salina, Kansas Police Department at 785-826-7210, or you can call Crime Stoppers at 785-825-8477, or text SA Tips to Crimes, that's 274637, or visit www.pd.salina.org and follow the Crime Stoppers link to submit your tip that way. Or you can call the KBI at 785-296-4017 and see if we can't help get Kenny located and make sure he's okay. Like I've said in the past, with all the bitter cold winters and the blistering hot summers, it's hard to keep that hope going, but we keep hoping.
Yeah. Be nice to know something.
Yeah. And if Salina Police Department is reopening the case and re-looking at it, so much the better. And hopefully they can find out something. Like I say, if anybody sees that on the news, let me know, and let me know which news station so I can follow up on it. I did some searching for it before the show, and I couldn't find it anywhere. And I don't know if it just hasn't made it as far as the website yet. I don't know. So I'm going to keep checking back and see what I can find.
Barb says she knows Alberta has been trying to talk to the governor.
Oh, okay. Well, hopefully she can talk to Kelly and see what Kelly can do.
And then Kelly says, to qualify, the investigations people must have exhausted all efforts and pathways to find out who did it and prove to the people who submit the ticket to become a governor's reward. Then the agency that approves it dictates the amount of money they get per case.
Oh, well, thank you, Kelly. I appreciate the information.
No.
I just haven't had a chance to look into it to see, but I thank you.
Yeah. Well, let's go ahead and talk about Rosalind.
Okay. Rosalind Richardson, I guess she goes by Lynn, missing from Topeka, Kansas since January 3rd, 2023. She's 15. She's 5'4", 160 pounds. Her hair is black, but half of it's dyed pink and brown eyes. I believe she may still be in Topeka, or she may be in the Lansing, Kansas area. And she's 15. She's 5'4", weighs 160 pounds, has black hair that was last known to be dyed bright pink on the right half and brown eyes. If you have any information regarding Rosalind's disappearance or you know of her whereabouts, please call the Topeka, Kansas Police Department. It's 785-368-9247 or 785-368-9551 or 785-368-9200 or the KBI at 785-296-4017 and see if we can get Rosalind located and back to where she needs to be.
I love the spelling of her name.
Yeah, it is cool. I've never seen that before.
Nope. Yeah. Very unique. I like it.
Yep.
Oh, Barb is a member of Muddy Waters Recovery and Rescue.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yep.
Awesome. We love them.
I try to catch their videos when I can.
Yeah. I finally subscribed to them because I have YouTube on my phone, but it's not signed in.
Oh, okay.
And but I only have YouTube on my computer. But so when I open my browser, it asks me if I want to open up like two different basically accounts. There's my main one, and then there's one that's for the one I use for YouTube. So that's the only place I can like comment and stuff. And I finally got around to subscribing to Muddy. I've watched several videos on my phone, but I couldn't subscribe. But I'm finally subscribed, and everybody should definitely get on that. Let's talk about Damien.
Okay, Damien, I don't know if it's Rivas or Rivas, missing from Topeka, Kansas since December 26, 2022. He's 15. He's 5'6", weighs 110 pounds, has brown curly hair and brown eyes. It's believed he may still be in the Topeka area. Again, he's 15. He's 5'6", weighs 110 pounds, has brown curly hair that he may have cut and dyed, and brown eyes. If you have any information regarding Damien's disappearance, or you know of his whereabouts, please call the Shawnee County, Kansas Sheriff's Office, 785-251-2200, or KBI at 785-296-4017, and see if we can't get Damien located and back to where he needs to be. My understanding is he made a comment that when he went missing this time that he was going to cut his hair and dye it to, I guess, try to disguise himself somewhat. So that's where that comes from.
Yeah, Trisha, that's awesome. I hope everybody subscribes to him. She says it breaks my heart when I hear about the kids missing. Yeah, I have another podcast that I do about my hometown, and there's an episode I did where I interviewed a buddy of mine named Josh. He's 39 now, and he ran away when he was 15, and he was on the run for about 2 weeks. Made it all the way to Mexico, made it all the way to New York City. But now he's just about as boring as a regular guy as you can be. He goes to work every day, he has children, he's married. And so when I see these youngsters that are lost right now, to make myself feel bad, I just think like, man, maybe, 10 years from now, Damien will look back on this and be like, wow, that was wild. I just hope that at the end of the day, these kids land on their feet and that they 100% put themselves first and care about themselves first and foremost, and know that it really is up to them how their life turns out. I just hope that, because I being a teenager is rough. I know, because I was a teenager and it was rough for me, and I was never out on my own at 15, so I'm sure that's a rough situation to be in. But I just like to hope that the most of these kids that we show on here eventually find their way and find their place in the world, because it's a crazy place, but at the end of the day, it's also a beautiful world to be a part of. So I just hope that these youngsters, find some peace and get to where they need to be.
Yeah. Yeah. And then some of these kids are, yeah, it definitely wasn't like it was when we were their age, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, I was a teenager in the 80s, and it's, it was a lot different back then.
Yeah. Let's talk about Kiera.
Okay. She's just one that I did today, actually. She's missing from Parsons, Kansas since January 24th, 2023. She's 16. She's 6'3", weighs 265 pounds, has black hair and brown eyes. If you have any information regarding Kiera's disappearance, you know her whereabouts, please call the Parsons, Kansas Police Department at 604-1060 or the KBI at 785-296-4017, and see if we can't get Kiera located and back to where she needs to be.
Yeah. Really cool spelling of her now. Yeah, Kiera, I've seen that before. She's very tall.
Yeah.
Wow. She is very tall. Okay, well, anybody in the Parsons area? Do you know how big Parsons is, Ricky?
Not off the top of my head, but I can check on Google real quick. It's not a very big town, I know, but
yeah, I've heard of it, but I have no reference on how big it is.
Let's see. As of 2020, 9,600 people.
Oh, okay. So it's not a tiny little speck, but it's not big. Yeah, you're right. It's not very big. Well, hopefully the people on social media in Parsons are sharing it, and hopefully we can get Kiera brought where she needs to be and back on track to what she needs to do. A lot of school left in the school year, so. Okay, one second. Parsons has a mental health facility.
Didn't know that.
Yeah,
I know they have a group home down there too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, foster home.
That's a whole different. My buddy, when he was 15, he went to a group home, but essentially it was they lived out in the woods and didn't have electricity. It was like they called it wilderness camp. But I tell you what, he straightened up living out in the woods for 6 months in North Carolina. He did what his mom told him to do after that. Let's talk about Angela Green. We've covered this case several times. This is every time you cover it, it's just very odd when you read the flyers. A lot of weird red flags, but go ahead and tell the audience about Angela.
Okay, yep. Angela Green's missing from Prairie Village, Kansas since June 19th, 2019. She was 51 when she's missing. She'll now be 55. She's 5'9", 116 pounds, brown hair and brown eyes. There have been conflicting reports as to what happened, too, as well as where Angela is. Angela's daughter was told by her dad that Angela had passed away. Angela had a stroke, but she is not sure of this or any other claims. He claims she had a stroke, but she had gone as far as to research to see if there was any death certificate or anything like that. Was not able to come up with any. Another story that her dad told her was that she had been taken to a mental facility for whatever reason, and that panned out not to be true. Police have gotten some conflicting statements about her whereabouts that are a little concerning to them as well. Police say they are treating Angela's case as a missing persons investigations and are working with several other agencies to try to locate her. I know they've done searches at at least 2 different residences, and so far haven't come up with anything at this point. Again, at the time of her disappearance, Angela was 51. She's now 55. She's 5'9", weighs 116 pounds, has brown hair and brown eyes. If you have any information regarding Angela's disappearance or you know of her whereabouts, please call the Prairie Village, Kansas Police Department at 913-642-6868 or Crime Stoppers tip hotline at 816-474-8477 or the KBI at 785-296-4017 and see if we can help get Angela located and back to her family where she needs to be.
The part that you said about her potentially being in a mental institution, that's not on the flyer, right? That's like something you just know.
Yeah, that's just, I've watched several videos. I've watched several interviews with Ellie, her daughter, and yeah, I mean, he's told her all kinds of things, that at one point he had told her that she was picked up by these employees of this mental hospital in a public parking lot so she wouldn't cause a scene, and was taken to a mental hospital, and supposedly that's where she had the stroke, but there has been no record of her being admitted anywhere, no record of her ever passed away or anything along those lines. So he's just being all kinds of sketchy.
I hate that. It makes you just like, I don't know. It's like, that's just so sketchy. Like, anytime somebody gives you 3 reports of when the last time they saw Angela was, it's like, okay, let's just put this person in jail. That's sketchy. They keep changing. If the truth doesn't need editing, like, why change your story unless you did something terrible? Audra Harris is here.
Hey, how you doing, Audra? That's my ex-wife.
Kelly says there's 3 mental asylums in Kansas.
Wow. Let's see.
The biggest is in Larned.
Yeah, Larned is the biggest. I think you're right on that one.
I never went to a mental hospital, but I probably got close a couple times with my OCD, thinking I was dying of weird diseases and stuff, freaking out. Barb says, sounds something isn't right. I agree.
Right. There's definitely something off about Angela's case for sure.
And then Roxanne said there was a story done yesterday on cake.com about Kenny, but I couldn't watch it while I'm here.
Okay, I'll have to double check. I looked on Cake earlier, but I didn't see anything, but I'll double check it again and see. Because maybe they just haven't had time to get it up on the website yet. I'll have to watch.
Somebody was asking where Damian Rivas was from. The flyer he was missing from Topeka. I don't know if that's where he's from, though. Do you know if he's from there, Ricky?
I don't know for sure. I just know he's missing from Topeka.
Okay.
And I believe he's still in that area right at this point anyway.
Okay.
Until I hear different.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, he was missing from Topeka, yeah.
Okay. Let's talk about Camara.
Yeah, it was Camara or Kamara Kellerman. She's missing from Derby, Kansas since January 2nd. She's 14. She's 5'2", weighs 125 pounds, brown hair and brown eyes. She was last known to be in the Topeka, Kansas area. And she's 14. She's 5'2", weighs 125 pounds. She has brown hair and brown eyes. If you have any information regarding Camara's disappearance or you know her whereabouts, please call the Derby, Kansas Police Department at 316-788-1557 or KBI at 785-296-4017. See if we can't get Kamara located and back to where she needs to be.
Derby, Kansas. I've been there one time. It's like, what, like 20 minutes from Wichita? 20, 30 minutes?
I'm not sure. I don't think I've ever been to actual Derby. I've been to Wichita plenty of times. But...
yeah. I had a buddy who had a mom that lived in Derby, and we stopped by there on the way to Garden City from Kansas City. Seemed like a quaint little town, but definitely really close to a big city. So that's something to be leery of. Just right up the road. Hopefully they can figure out where she's at. Tonight's featured case is going to be Star Gail Boomer. I have been talking to Kelsey Youngblood on Messenger about this case, and just it's just really, Ricky's going to get into it. We've read this flyer several times, but every time Ricky reads this, it just makes my blood boil, because it sounds like a lot of people kind of know what happened.
Yep, Star Boomer's missing from Kansas City, Kansas since February 23rd, 1999. She was 39 when she went missing. She's now 62. She's 5'4" to 5'5", weighs 140 pounds, has blonde hair and blue eyes. She had visited Uncle Mike's, now called Nobody's Business, in Kansas City, Kansas, near her own residence on February 23rd, 1999. She went there with a roommate, Carolyn Marshall. Marshall stated that while they were in the bar, a male stranger walked up to Star and threw her off the bar stool for no apparent reason, and without speaking to her. Star got up and insisted she was all right, and her attacker was forced to leave the establishment. Marshall left after finished drink. She asked the bartender to keep an eye on Star, whom she planned to pick up later. When Marshall called the bar later that day, she was told that Star had already left with two men, and she's never been heard from again. Witnesses at the establishment told authorities that she was involved in an altercation with another patron during the evening. The individual is believed to be a career criminal with a history of violent behavior towards women. He allegedly knocked her to the ground and beat her, causing her to lose consciousness. She's never been heard from again. Authorities believe she may have been murdered in the bar and body hidden somewhere else. In October 1999, two local men, William Eugene Gino Spradlin and Robert Franklin Butch Horn, were charged with second-degree murder in Star's case. Both suspects have extensive criminal histories and have served time in prison. The murder charges were later dismissed because over a dozen witnesses to the alleged crime refused to testify against the defendants. Her case remains unsolved. Foul play is suspected in Star's disappearance due to the circumstances involved. If you have any information regarding Star's disappearance or you know of her whereabouts, please call the Kansas City, Kansas Police Department at 913-573-6010 or 913-596-3000 or the KBI at 1-800-572-7463. And again, there's a $5,000 governor reward for information leading to the arrest or prosecution of the person or persons responsible for what happened to Star. So again, if you have any information regarding our case, get that information in immediately.
I'm wondering how old Gino and Butch are now.
I don't know. I'd have to do some research and see.
Yeah, because if they were anywhere, they could be in their 60s now if they were near her age, But if they were older than her, who knows how old they'd be. It's just, I don't know. I hate that.
Yeah.
A dozen witnesses. But then it's really easy to get mad at those dozen witnesses. But if you see somebody like kill somebody with their bare hands, you might think twice before you cross them. You know what I mean? Like,
all right.
So, I get not talking, but let's say that these guys did do something and they're 60. They got to be less scary at 60, right?
I would think.
I don't know. I just hate seeing it.
Right.
Why were they so mean to her? The system and people really failed her. This case is so messed up.
That's true. I agree.
Yeah, Donna says, would be scary to talk if you did see it, but still. I'd like to think that I would talk, but then again, never seen anybody beat to death before. So, I don't know. Really awful thing to happen to somebody, though. And Star seems like a...
Yeah, looks
You
like
look at
Annette
her
Lawless.
pictures.
Looks like Annette Lawless did another segment on Kenny on Missing in Kansas yesterday. So I'll have to watch that later and see.
Nice. This is another case we've covered several times. Unsolved homicide. It's the card of the week, Beverly Logan.
Yeah, it's another one from here in Salina where I'm at. On January 21st, 2008, the Salina Police Department responded to 1200 East Iron to check the welfare of the only occupant of the resident, Beverly Logan. The officers found the front door ajar and Miss Logan deceased in the kitchen. It was apparent to the investigating officers she was the victim of a brutal attack. This homicide occurred around noon on a Monday next door to a heavily patronized convenience store on a major arterial street, which I can tell you, Iron's a pretty busy street. I mean, you got the Highway Patrol training facility down to the east of there. You got Casey's convenience store right next door to it on the corner, which I think at that point was still called Green Lantern, I do believe. And so, I mean, there was a lot of traffic going on. And initially, they did have a person of interest that they were looking for. And after a while, they come back and said, no, we've cleared him, so don't worry about him. But her murder has been extensively investigated by Salina Police Department, and this investigation is ongoing. There have been no viable suspects developed. If you have any information regarding Beverly's death, please call the Salina, Kansas Police Department at 785-826-7210 or call Crime Stoppers at 785-825-8477 or text SA Tips to Crimes, which is 274637. Or you could go to www.pd.salina.org and follow the Crime Stoppers link to submit your tip there. Hopefully somebody knows something. I mean, that's all I can say about that. And you can also get a hold of the KBI and call their toll-free number, which is, 1-800-572-7463, and let them know what you know that way as well. And see if we can help generate information to get her murder solved. Every so often, when I'm over in that part of town, which is frequently because I have to go pay a bill in that direction, and I go right by that house. And, actually, to be honest, I go by two houses or two unsolved murders in this town. One, Beverly Logan's on Iron, and then another one, Nellie Hubbard over on East Elm. So when I go pay that bill, I drive by two unsolved murder locations.
Do you know, you probably don't know the exact, but like off the top of your head, a rough estimate of how many unsolved murders Salina has?
My brother could probably answer that one quicker than I could. So Terry, if you're still watching, if you could throw that in the comments, that would be good.
Double T, you're needed. Yeah, I was, because it's Salina. Like I said, I've been there twice in my life. Recently, about a month ago, 2 months ago, I saw you there. But it's a pretty decently sized town for middle of Kansas,
Yeah, about 50,000. A little over 50,000. They keep saying we're having a housing shortage, and they're building all these new housing developments, and it's like, okay, we still have all these houses in, like, some of the older neighborhoods just need to be renovated and refurbished, and they'd be good to go.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah, that's how Garden City was, man. There's just no houses. Apparently people are moving to Kansas though because they're needing houses. Because everybody I know that lives in those towns, they say the same thing. It's pretty hard to get a house these days.
Yeah.
Let's see some of these comments. In Michigan, it's a state law to inform all employees of hospitals to look for signs of human trafficking. Perfect. That's awesome.
Good. That's awesome. Should be that way in every state.
Talking about Beverly, I hope her family gets justice.
I do too.
Double T says currently 6 in Salina and 4 out in the county. You know what we need to do? Yeah, thanks, Double T. You know what we should do is one of these shows we should do like just a complete show about Salina. Cover all the unsolved cases, all the missing people. Because there's a lot, man. We do this show every week, and there's always some Salina. And I honestly thought it'd be more than 6, but really 6 is a lot for unsolved homicides. For 50,000 people, that's a lot of unsolved homicides.
Yeah.
So, but like you said, 50,000 people is a lot of people too, though. Like I'm from Elkhart, 1,800 people, and we probably have 6 unsolved homicides. So that's a little, it's bad, but yeah, it's just crazy. There's a lot of cases that I think that we cover all these cases, but there's so many that we're not even getting to. There's so many cases we don't even know about. Let's talk about Amaya Topeka.
Yeah. Maya Arredondo, missing from Topeka, Kansas since November 3rd, 2022. She's 14. She's 5'2", 120 pounds, black hair and brown eyes. It's believed she may still be in Topeka, or she may be trying to get to Florida. Again, she's 14. She's 5'2", weighs 120 pounds, has black hair and brown eyes. If you have any information regarding Amaya's disappearance or you know of her whereabouts, please call the Topeka, Kansas Police Department. It's 785-368-9247 or 785-368-9551 or 785-368-9200 or the KBI at 785-296-4017 and see if we can't get Amaya located and back to where she needs to be.
Amaya, if you're watching, I went to Florida at 27 and it chewed me up and spit me out. Not a good idea. It's a beautiful place, but that's a rough place to live in. You should definitely go to Topeka. Stay in Topeka. Don't go to Florida. And it seems like, a lot of people when they run, they go to Florida. No, I've heard that, we've covered 3 or 4 cases, or like they thought that these young girls were on their way to like Florida,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then it makes you wonder why they would go anywhere. Maybe she met somebody online, or maybe she, it's all sounds sketchy for a 14-year-old to who do they know in Florida that'd be willing to house them knowing they're, an endangered runaway. It's like sketchy all around.
Right.
Hopefully the flyer makes the rounds on Facebook and Amaya can get brought home safe. Let's talk about Steven Anderson.
Okay, he is missing from Rice County, Kansas since August 9th of 2022. He's 30 years old. He is 6'1", weighs 170 pounds, brown hair and hazel eyes. Don't have much more than that. I wish they did. If you have any information regarding Steven's disappearance or you know of his whereabouts, please call the Rice County, Kansas Sheriff's Office at 620-257-2363 or the KBI at 785-296-4017 and see if we can get Steven located and back to where he needs to be.
Rice County, is that Ashley Duff territory?
I think so.
I think so. I think that's by like Lyons, I think. Like around that part of the state.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's 5 months ago. That's a long time for Steven to be nobody hear anything from him.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully anybody out there in the Rice County area, share this around, spread the word. A lot of people worried about Steven. Is there any missing soldiers from Kansas? Barb was wondering.
Not that I'm aware of at this point.
Not that we're aware of. She says, I used to live in Lakeland, Florida. Trisha says, yes, it is by Lyons.
Okay.
And then we
the only Fort Riley soldier that comes to mind was one that was missing since 1950. I can't remember what it was, 56, 57, something like that. And he actually had been located in Canada a few years back. I was messaged by his Canadian grandson and told that he had been living there since he had gone to Fort Riley back in the 50s, started another family up there, and had passed away up there, and they were able to confirm that it was him through DNA.
Really?
Mm-hmm. But he had been living in Canada all them years. And I asked the grandson if he had a recent photo of him at that point. He sent me a recent photo of him, and I looked at it, compared it with the military photo, and you could tell it was him, just obviously older, but yeah. I still have all that stuff too. I don't get rid of anything missing persons related off my computers.
Wow. Well, we have a special request, so I pulled a new flyer. You're just reading off the screen, so you're good. But yeah, go ahead and tell them about Rachel Pratt.
Okay, we just covered her last week, but we can do it again. Missing from Garden City, Kansas since January 16th, 1995. She was 15 when she went missing. She's now 43. She's 5'7", 125 pounds, brown hair and brown eyes. She was last seen watching a movie inside her family's residence in Garden City at approximately 1 o'clock in the morning on January 16th, 1995. She disappeared under suspicious circumstances and has never been seen or heard from again. She left all of her clothing and personal belongings at her home except for her coat. 5 days after her disappearance, some girls claimed to have seen her talking on a payphone with her 18-year-old boyfriend. They say she left the phone with her boyfriend after asking the girls for a ride, then went into Dylan's grocery store. The sighting has not been confirmed, and her boyfriend denies having been with her after she vanished. Rachel was supposed to be a witness against her boyfriend, who was being prosecuted for unlawful sexual relations with her. Because Rachel disappeared before she could testify, the charges were dropped. They started dating when Rachel was a 14-year-old high school freshman, and her boyfriend was a senior. He was her first boyfriend. Rachel's mother found out she was pregnant after Rachel was arrested for attempting to shoplift a home pregnancy test from Walmart. She gave her statement to the police at that time. There is no evidence to indicate that Rachel has given birth. There is also no record of her receiving a driver's license, a copy of her birth certificate, or a security card. She may have remained in the Garden City area after her disappearance. There have been no sightings of her in many years, but authorities remain hopeful that she's still alive. Rachel has 7 siblings. Her mother still lives at the same address and has kept the same phone number. If you have any information regarding Rachel's disappearance, you know her whereabouts, please call the Garden City Police Department at 620-276-1300 or the KBI at 785-296-4017 and see if we can't help find Rachel and get her back to her family.
Yeah, a long time ago, a lot of people care about Rachel Pratt. I obviously never met her, but I call so many of Rachel's close friends of my own, people that, I met in Garden City that told me about Rachel before I found you and started working with you. They told me, and that's what's crazy, Ricky, is I think that's probably the first time I ever knew about you, but I had no ideas because I had seen Rachel's flyer before, and that was years before we started working together. So right. I guess Rachel's probably the first time I ever saw a flyer you made, and that was probably 2014 maybe. So that was a long time ago. But yeah, everybody's, in Garden City. I've talked to a couple police officers in Garden City, and it's never gone away. And that's something that both officers I talked to said that his quote was, "There's not an officer in Garden City that doesn't want to solve this." Like this is still a very active in everybody's thoughts. So, and then we had Connie Pratt Sanders. I don't know if that's any relation, but she was the one who was asking for Rachel Pratt.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So
well, hopefully, like I said, we talked about her last week and we've talked about her this week, and well, I'm sure we'll talk about her again in the future, and hopefully we can help get her found.
Yep. And Barb says, I hope they find her safe. Me too. For sure. Let's look at some comments here. We got Double T. He's sort of right. He's given us a list. Tom Young, Nellie Hubbard, Mildred Hawks, Catherine Adam, Gina Cyphers, Beverly Logan.
Mm-hmm.
And then your county is going to be Billy Farmer, Robin Green, Stephen Bettles, and Lori Heimer.
Yep.
All the names look familiar to me except for Tom Young.
Yeah.
Have we covered him?
He's an unsolved homicide case. Yeah. I don't remember if we've covered him or not.
We should next week because all these names look familiar except for his, and maybe Billy Farmer. I don't know if we've covered Billy Farmer.
Making notes here.
Okay. Yeah, we need to do this more often. Your brother's a encyclopedia.
Yeah. That's kind of how Kansas Missing and Insult got started, because he was talking about doing something like that just for our hometown and stuff like that. And that's when I just kind of like, well, I'm just going to do it for the whole state, because I couldn't find anything like it for Kansas. So I just decided to do it for the whole state.
Yeah.
He's still talking about, periodically talks about maybe doing one for Salina, but I don't know if he's going to, but he throws it out there every now and again.
You got plenty to talk about, brother.
Oh,
That's a heck of a list right there. I show 2 more flyers, but you know how I get mixed up sometimes, so there might be more I'll have to pull while we're reading. But let's talk about Fawn and Rosalind.
I'm showing 3, but okay.
Fawn. Well, real quick before we look, you have Fawn and Rosalind, and then the other one I have is going to be the Dolly Bakery. Who else are we missing? So I can go.
Oh, okay. Well, that would make 4 then. There's Fawn and Rosalind Abel. And then there's the Dolly Madison, and then there's Cameron Turman and Jaron Miller.
Okay, I'll look for those while you're reading this. While you're reading this one, Fawn and that Rosalind.
All right, Fawn Abel and Rosalind Abel are missing from Bethany, Oklahoma since July 25th, 1985. Fawn was 15 when she was missing. She would now be 53, 5'1", 100 pounds, red hair, blue eyes. Rosalind, she was 18 when she went missing. She'd now be 56. She was 4'11", 90 pounds, red hair and blue eyes. They had actually set out to find jobs in their hometown of Bethany, Oklahoma. Both girls were last seen leaving their home together, equipped to do some job hunting. They've never been seen or heard from again, and their case was reopened in 2010 and is still very active. Again, Fawn's 5'1", 100 pounds, red hair and blue eyes. Not sure what her clothing description was at the time she went missing, but she was wearing multicolored, long, dangly earrings. And Rosalind, she was 4'11", 90 pounds when she went missing. She has red hair, blue eyes, not knowing what she was wearing when she went missing. Both girls' disappearances are labeled as missing. If you have any information regarding Fawn and Rosalind's disappearance, or you know of their whereabouts, please call the Bethany, Oklahoma Police Department at 405-789-2323 and see if we can't help get Fawn and Rosalind located and back to where they need to be. Maybe we can get some information generated and maybe something the police hasn't heard about or seen yet. I'm hoping that we can do that, because, if anybody knows anything, get it called in, because you never know. You might think it might be small or trivial or whatever, but it could be that very small piece that investigators are looking for to help put a bunch of pieces together. So call it in.
100%, yeah. And I did have those flyers. I just they didn't get quite downloaded, but I got them. But we still have. Let's go through some comments real quick here. We should cover them and do some of the older cases from all over. Yeah. I definitely want to cover the Tom Young and the Billy Farmer, because I don't feel like I've seen those names before.
Right.
So definitely have to cover those. Let's talk about the Dolly Madison Bakery situation.
Okay. Next, actually, I have been getting messages from Mandy's sister. She sent me a couple links to a couple podcasts. One she's part of, and the other one she's not. And then she sent me a link today for a petition to get, I guess you call it, other law enforcement agencies outside of Great Bend to take a look at, like the KBI, the FBI.
Right.
To take a look at it, because she, there's thinking that maybe Great Bend may have bungled some things here and there. But anyhow, on September 4th, 2002, at approximately 7:55 p.m., Great Bend, Kansas Police Department responded to a call at the Dolly Madison Bakery at 1004 Harrison in Great Bend. Upon arrival, officers found 2 deceased females, victims of an apparent double homicide. Police have never said how the women died. A delivery truck driver who found the bodies said they were located in a back office. A witness described seeing a white male approximately 6'1" to 6'2", weighing 175 pounds, having collar-length light brown to blonde hair and a slight beard, walking away from the front door of the bakery. Their murder weapon has never been found, and no suspects have been arrested. Officials also aren't sure of the motive for the murders, although some money from the store was missing that night. On September 6, 2022, the KBI and Great Bend, Kansas Police Department, as a result of the new DNA testing, male DNA was discovered on a sample collected from the body of one of the victims. The KBI agents and detectives from the Great Bend Police Department have collected numerous DNA samples for comparison to the DNA discovered and will continue with these efforts. If anybody has any information on their deaths, please call the Great Bend, Kansas Police Department at 620-793-4120 or the Barton County Sheriff's Department at 620-793-1876 or the KBI at 1-800-572-7463. There is a $17,000 reward available for information leading to an arrest or conviction in Mandy and Mary's deaths. My understanding, Mandy was the employee working at the Dolly Madison Bakery. Mary was just a customer that was in the store at that time. So let's see if we can't generate some information and help find out who was responsible for this and get them arrested.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. That, I don't know, man. That was one of those times where you start talking, you don't have anywhere to go because there's no, I mean, that composite sketch, I'm glad they have it, but I mean, it doesn't look like a human being. You know what I mean? Like that's, I wish we had, it doesn't, it just looks like I don't know. It's not a great sketch. It's not like the artist was bad, but it looks like they didn't have a lot to go by. You know what I mean?
Right. I think we're pretty much going by just the one truck driver's description, I think.
Yeah. So, I mean, like it's nobody's fault, but it's just like, that's the most information we have. And it's just really hard to tell, who that would be just from that drawing. But it's just, I can't, Great Bend, again, we're talking about sizes of towns. Great Bend's not that big. You'd think that something this drastic happens that either somebody would talk about it or somebody would, it's just, it's not a big place,
Yep.
And that kind of makes me wonder if it's not somebody, a drifter or something. Cause like, I just don't see how you could be from Great Bend, live there and do this and just never tell anybody and it never gets out,
Right.
I don't know. But then again, I'm not from Great Bend. I don't know, but that's terrible situation.
Yeah. Hopefully we can get some information generated and get some tips in.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Jaron Miller.
Okay. She is missing from Shawnee County, Kansas since November 2nd of 2022. She is 18. She is 5'8", 120 pounds, brown hair and brown eyes. If you have any information regarding Jaron's disappearance, her whereabouts, please call the Shawnee County, Kansas Sheriff's Office at 785-251-2200 or the KBI at 785-296-4017 and see if we can help get Jaron located and back to where she needs to be.
Yeah. I like the spelling of that name as well.
Yeah, I think it's the first time I've ever seen it, I think.
Yeah, I've seen Jaren. That's a cool name. My friend from Garden City, she has a kid named Jaren. I always thought that was a really cool name, but yeah, I think that was spelled differently. So that's a really cool spelling. Yeah. Hopefully Jaren is somewhere safe and hopefully on the way where she needs to be. This is the last case that we have, and then we're going to do a located safe and then hang out for a little bit. We're going to talk about Cameron Turman. Go ahead.
Yep. Missing from Kansas City, Kansas since January 13th, 2023. She is 20 years old. She's 5'7", 200 pounds, dark blonde to light brown hair and blue eyes. It's believed that she may be in Michigan with her boyfriend, who's in that picture up there on the above right-hand side. If you have any information regarding Cameron's disappearance or her whereabouts, please call the Kansas City, Kansas Police Department at 913-596-3000 or the KBI at 785-296-4017 and see if we can't help get Cameron located and back to where she needs to be.
I'm curious because, like it says, she could believed to be with her boyfriend in Michigan. Like, if you can't just call him and ask him, like, why is he being secret? You see, we only know what the flyer says, but I'm just like,
right.
That's a little scary if you think that she's with her boyfriend, but if you can't just call her boyfriend and be like, "Is Cameron with you?" That leads me to believe that there's no communication. Yeah, it's just that's scary.
Yep, it is.
Yeah. Well, let's go ahead and go through some of these comments here. She says, "I hope they are found too." She says, "Right there on the highway." Not
I
familiar.
wondered if the Dolly Madison Bakery wasn't close to a highway, so I mean that could fit, a transient. It could fit potentially a truck driver, even maybe. I don't know.
She says, "Derek, have you heard about the murder of Nick Cordova from Gilbert?" No. We cover a missing girl from here that Ricky had brought to the show a while back. I forget her name. It's that girl that left a note that said,
oh my goodness, I can't think of her name. I know you're talking about those. She left in the middle of the night and found her footprints outside on both sides of the fence of her yard, outside and inside. And she had taken a valuable comic book with her.
Yeah, we covered that case.
She's been missing for quite a few years.
And then there's actually a case we've covered once. Ricky made a flyer for him at my request, but there was a couple who was basically somebody broke into their house, held them hostage while they took each one to the ATM, drained their account, and then they killed them. And it's maybe 5 blocks from my house, and it's never been solved. And we covered that case, but that's the thing. Like we just do Kansas. Ricky does make flyers for Missouri, and then he does do the flyers for out-of-state cases when they come his way. But covering probably 50% of the actual people that are missing in Kansas, what Ricky does is already a full-time job. Yeah, it's like it'd be impossible to cover all the Phoenix cases. It's just impossible. There's Ricky is cranking out flyers as best as he can.
Yeah, gotta watch where I step. One of my dogs is right here at my feet. I didn't know it until I looked down and moved my foot.
Barb says it happened in broad daylight.
Yeah, around noon. Yeah.
She says at the time of the Dolly Madison, they thought maybe it was the same person from the wedding shop in Wichita. Never heard that.
That's the I-35, I-70 serial killer. Yeah.
Okay.
Which is they've never caught that person either. And they recently just connected another case to that case too over in, I want to say Missouri, I think. I'm gonna have to reread that, but yeah, I think they connected another case to that recently.
She says Great Bend is on Highway 56.
It's been a long time since I've been over that way.
She says I was just looking that up. Amber has a good point. Amber Hanosowitz says, have you informed people of the traffickers who infiltrate the drug rehabs and halfway houses to take the vulnerable? We've never come out and said it, but that's a great point for you to make.
Specifically in Arizona.
Yeah, that is definitely a place where people are at their most vulnerable when they're in any kind of rehab or a halfway house. So yeah, you're right. Let me see. The composites look nothing alike. Yeah, Dawn says that she was looking at the I-70 and then the composite.
Right.
Great Bend is big, but also not that big. I used to live in Larned, and it isn't too impressive.
I don't think I've ever been to Larned.
Well, I want to mention this real quick since we have a little bit of time. Let me see. I don't know if you even heard about this, but let me see. There was a guy here in Phoenix, and he committed a double homicide like recently. Let me go ahead and see if I can find this picture real quick. Yeah, he committed a double homicide in Phoenix like a few days ago. Where is it at? I had this picture. Anyway, he killed 2 people, and then him and a female. Somebody in the comments can tell the story better than I can. Anyway, they fled Phoenix and they caught them in Dodge City, Kansas. Shootout ensued, and
I did hear
dude's
about that.
dead. Yeah, he's dead.
He's dead. She was shot and recovering in the hospital, and yeah, there was like 2 deputies shot, or 1 highway patrol shot, and another one got bit by one of the police canines.
Yeah, that was crazy. So,
and he had to have surgery.
Yeah, it was a rough day in Dodge City, man.
Yeah.
But of course, my messenger exploded because everybody's like, Phoenix, Kansas. They just put the link together.
Right.
Like, you know him? I'm like, no, I never got the chance to hang out with this guy, unfortunately. But yeah, I thought that was a little wild, man. Coming from my area to going to your area, man, causing trouble.
Man.
Don says, I was working as a clerk at the Dolly Madison here in Wichita at the time of the Great Bend murders. Do you know Don?
Wow. Oh, wow.
Lauren, isn't that impressive besides State Hospital, to be honest?
Okay. I'll remember that.
Amanda Stagg says, hey, guys, just jumping on. What's going on around Great Bend? I lived there a year and a half ago.
We were talking about the Dolly Madison murders over there, Mandy Alexander and Mary Drake. And yeah, there's the flyer we were just covering a little bit ago. Most recent development was on September 9th of 2022. They had managed to come up with male DNA on one of the victims, and they're trying to compare it to as many people as they can to try to see if they can't come up with a match.
Wow.
So far, they have not.
Amanda says, I was working at McDonald's the night of the Dolly Madison murder.
Oh, wow. Is that pretty close to the Dolly Madison location, or is it like different part of town?
I really like doing this live stream because you meet a lot of people that know a lot about things that you'd like to know about. Amanda says right across the street.
Oh, right across the street. Oh, wow.
She's watching on Facebook. Hey, do you know her, Ricky?
No, I don't actually.
Amanda, if you could message the page, Ricky, the Kansas Missing Unsolved page. Yeah, let us know if you know anything for sure. I mean, that's just, even if you were just there, if you were across the street the night it happened, that's an interesting perspective that I feel like might help, paint the picture a little bit more than a flyer, but that's sorry you had to be that close to something that evil. Well, we do have a located safe from Brandon. Let's go ahead and play it.
Cool.
We will be right back after this. Me and my teddy bear hat my kids bought me.
Always good to see the located safe reels.
Don says, scary for a woman working alone at night, especially. I used to add up the daily purchase with the amount of money received every day, and I was not behind a locked door.
Ugh.
Well, I'm telling you, Great Bend's not the type of town that you would think you need to lock the door.
Well, you wouldn't think, but it just goes to show you, anything can happen anywhere.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not limited to the big cities.
On was it yesterday? I'm a bug guy for anybody that doesn't know, and I had to go do a yoga studio. And I walked in the front door and it was dark in there, and I just stood there for like 5 minutes waiting for the people, and then I noticed there was another door that was glass. So I went over there and looked in that door, and I saw a lady that was like sweeping the floor. And so I knocked on the door. Long story short, I scared the crud out of this lady. And she was like, she was like, "Oh, you're the bug guy," but like she like totally thought she locked the door. And I told her, I was like, "Yeah, you didn't." I was like, if you need to make sure you lock that, like it's Phoenix is a big city. But she was like, "I thought I locked the door." I'm like, "No, you didn't. I just walked in." I was like, I was supposed to be here today, but you got to be careful. You really got to be careful. Don says also had to take the money to the deposit to bother the bank after closing. That's not good. Amanda says, "Will do." It was a terrifying night. I bet.
I can imagine. I mean, I couldn't imagine being in a McDonald's and looking across the street and seeing all this police activity going on, and I'd be freaked out.
Oh, Don says that the outer door was locked, but the office wasn't. Yeah. But see, Don, I'm Great Bend. Well, just let me look it up real quick. Great Bend population. Looks like 14,000. Decent sized town. Yeah, but I mean, that's not that big of a town, like you don't think like, oh, I better lock my door. I'm in the crazy streets of Great Bend, Kansas. You know what I mean? Like it's like it, and I'm sure every town has, bad parts, and I'm sure there's bad parts, there's bad aspects about Great Bend, but it just doesn't seem like a place where you would have to really, you would think like that you were in danger. You know what I mean? And that's in 2021, the 14,000 population.
Yeah.
But you never know. That's where that Barton County Community College is, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, thanks to Brandon for making another glorious located safe. Thanks to Ricky for making those flyers, getting them out there, getting them shared. Thanks for all of you for sharing them and helping getting those people located safe. And thanks for me for saying all that without making a mistake.
Yeah.
I'm pretty good, Ricky. I am pretty good. I don't know if the hat's going to make it back next week. My kids asked me to wear it tonight because there's little different color bears all over it. But Walmart hat, got it at Walmart. But they're pretty proud of it, Rick. They wanted me to wear it tonight.
Cool.
Thank you, Trisha.
Thank you. Greatly appreciated.
For sure.
You're welcome, Don.
Brandon's back there too. Well, hey, real quick, I'm bringing you up, Brandon.
Oh yeah,
this guy helps too, y'all. This guy helps too.
Hey, how's it going?
He's waving.
Yeah.
The Bobsey twins with their red glasses there.
Yeah, I mean, I could switch it up for you, Ricky.
Oh, man. Well, yeah. Hopefully, Amanda, Dawn. And Dawn's on YouTube. So, Dawn, if you're a Facebook user, or you can go to kmupod.com, send us a message. We would love to talk about anything. Yeah, just that experience that night of being around there. Because, yeah, that's a very crazy thing to happen in a little town like Great Bend. Great Bend's a town I've been to several times for like work, or I think I had a family member there living there for a while, so I went there a few times as a kid. But I can honestly say I never felt unsafe in Great Bend, Kansas. So it's really crazy that happened there.
Oh, you're welcome, Don. You are welcome. Always, Trisha.
It's been a while since Trisha's seen you.
It's been a little bit.
We keep him behind the scenes. We keep him in line. Well, Ricky, you know what to do to get us out of here, man. Great show tonight, though. Before we do get out of here, I want to thank everybody for hanging out. That was awesome.
Yeah, greatly appreciate it when everybody hangs out with us and shares the show and tells everybody about us and stuff. Greatly appreciated.
And you'll notice that the intro music and the outro music this last 2 weeks has been different. It's because we've been having some issues with Facebook and the songs that we play in our videos. We don't have any issues on YouTube, but we're having some issues with Facebook. So I had to put in some music that I had paid for. So it's like we're not having any issues. So we will get that fixed as soon as possible. I'm in the process of having somebody write us some original music for the intro and outro, so we don't got to worry about it. So
it's very sleepy music that you chose too.
Well, I didn't choose it. That was music that was made for me a few years ago, and it's I don't if I had anything that wasn't sleepy, that's literally the only track I have that I can use that I know for sure won't get us in trouble. But thank you for complaining about it, Ricky, even though I'm trying my best.
All right. Well, that being said, thank you, Heavenly Father, for bringing us together tonight and going through these missing persons cases and unsolved homicide cases. And just pray that the people do the right thing, that have information and will call it in and get these investigations going in the right direction. And until we see each other, I guess this coming Tuesday, everybody stay safe, stay healthy. God bless, and amen.